Hello neighbors, it's Brad here at eTrailer, and today we're taking a look at the CURT Factory Plugin 7-way connector on a 2021 Hyundai Palisade. This 7-way just simply plugs into the factory connector as you have a tow package on your vehicle, and that way you can hook up to your trailer, giving you your running lights, brake lights, turn signals. Now also, this is going to be required if you plan on using a brake controller, so this is a good option. That way you can adjust those trailer brakes and use them while towing. Now it's easy access and spring loaded here, so when you put your plug in, it's going to lock that in place, and also it's going to spring close. That way you don't get any road grime in here, keeping it a nice clean connection. Now it does not come with the mounting brackets, so you may want to pick those up, and that way you can attach it to your hitch and get a nice solid mount on here. It's a super easy plug-in installation, and just with a few zip ties you'll get that nice and clean underneath your vehicle. And the great part is it has a fuse in line, and it's going to protect your factory wiring from any backfeed that may occur. So even if you hook up to a faulty trailer, you don't have to worry about frying anything on your vehicle. Now to begin our installation, the first thing you're going to want to determine is if your vehicle has the factory tow package. And if you're unsure, there's two ways to check, and I'll show you how to do that. First way is making sure that you have the hookup to put a 7-way adapter, and that way you can get your brake controller working with those functions. So we're just going to go on our driver's side here. There's going to be an underbody panel, and there's just going to be 3 plastic push pins. So just pop those out by prying at the center part, and the whole thing should come out pretty easily. And then with those out, there's going to be a plastic nut that's straight up. You can see kind of these indents just kind of reach up there, and you can normally get them by hand, or they're simply just kind of threaded on. You can kind of just pull this down and this should come out. So now we can set this aside. Now our car previously had a 4-pole wiring on here, and the plug uses the same plug that you see here. A lot of times there'll be a dummy cap on here, but you're looking for this, and this is how you're going to attach that 7-pole. This kit from CURT makes it really easy to just plug this in. Just make sure that's snapped. We then have a fuse holder here, so we're going to put the supplied fuse in place. Now as far as mounting up your 7-pole, you have 2 different options, and the first one's going to be picking up this bracket here, and you can self-tap that into your hitch. Just make sure that you have clearance for that plug to open up still completely. Another option is this is an extended bracket that I just put in the vise and bent, and that's going to allow us to get this mounted up, and then we can bolt our bracket onto that, and so that's going to put it in a nice position. Either way, you want to make sure that you have your 7-pole secured. Now what you'll do is some of the brackets will, depending on what you pick up, some of them will have a small little splice in the middle to where you can kind of run it over the wires, and that way it doesn't matter if it's plugged in. But if this one is, if you pick one up that's solid like that, you're going to wait to plug this in. That way you can sandwich this in there. And something I always recommend before plugging it in is taking some dielectric grease and just coating all the contacts here. That's going to keep moisture from damaging all your connections and just kind of prolong the life of the plug. So with that coated up, now we can get this plugged in, and then we'll get it mounted up with our extended bracket and our 7-pole bracket. I'm going to go ahead and just tighten our brackets down and our plug to the bracket. Now some of your kits will come with hardware, some of them will not, so something to keep in mind when picking one is if you need to pick up hardware, you're going to want to choose that kit. And with our extended bracket, it just uses a hose clamp that tightens around it. And to get this nice and close to the hitch but still have clearance, I actually lowered my spare tire. That way I could tighten it down up top and it would be out of the way. And we have our plug nice and close to the hitch. Now I'm just going to take our additional wiring that we have here, and I'm going to zip tie it up to the hitch, making sure that I have clearance if I ever need to lower that spare tire down. And we'll make our way over here and we'll bundle up the extra, get this all zip tied up, and get our module mounted as well. And it does come with a double-sided tape for the module. You can place that on a flat surface. You are going to want to make sure that you have clearance for that plastic panel to go up, so you might want to test that, make sure that you have your wires run properly. But the double-sided tape, sometimes over time, that just loses its adhesion, so I would highly suggest using this to zip tie up to something. That way it's going to hold up long term. I've gone ahead and just kind of zip tied everything up. That way it's all contained. And I also made sure to leave a little bit of this wire loom here so it can pass through this gap. That way when we put this back, we won't have to do any trimming. It should fit nice and tight there. So we can go ahead and get our panel put back in place. And that was a look and installation of the CURT Factory 7-way plug-in connector on a 2021 Hyundai Palisade.